spelling, and the Korban Hashem, the guilt offering and the sin offering. We go all the way back to the garden, okay? And Court and I were having this conversation about really the most important thing for a man is to know that he's respected, is to know that he has respect. The most important thing for a woman is to know that she's respected. And so when Adam and his honey bunny were in the garden, good morning, Tom. When Adam and his honey bunny were in the garden, what God said was, he goes, you can eat of all the trees in the garden, but there's one tree that you can't eat of. That one's off limits. So God draws the proverbial line in the sand. It's respect. And God says, this belongs to me, and all this I've given to you. And when I say, no, what's yours is mine, then I've now just transgressed. I've just crossed the boundary, your barrier, your comfort zone, your bubble. I've just impressed myself into your space. When I get into your space, I've just transgressed. So with my son, one time, he was an athlete. I had a couple of steaks in the refrigerator that I was going to cook when I got home from my workday, teaching and coaching. Well, he was hungry, so he went and he cooked them. So I come home and I say, well, where's the steak? And he goes, oh, Dad, I was hungry. And I said, well, you knew those were mine. I know, Dad, but I was awfully hungry. I said, okay, no problem. So I tell my honey bunny, I say, hey, while I'm at work tomorrow, would you do me a favor? Would you clean out all the food out of the cabinets, and would you clean out all of the food out of the refrigerator and the freezer, and will you put it somewhere like in the garage? She goes, why? I go, you'll understand it later. So she cleans out all the cupboards, cleans out all the refrigerator, cleans out all the freezer, and I come home that night, and Christopher, being an athlete, you know, he comes home and he opens up the fridge to find something to munch, and there's nothing there. He looks in the cabinets and there's nothing there. I get home, and of course, I told my honey bunny, stay away. Okay, don't even be around, because he's going to be grilling you. I said, and you'll understand later. So I get home and he goes, where's the food? I said, well, you know what? I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to give you the day off from school tomorrow. What I want you to do is I want you to come to work with me, and I want you to see what it's like to go through a day with me. And he goes, really? No school tomorrow? And he was going to the same school that I teach and coach at. So I said, yeah, no school for you. You don't have to do any academic, anything like that. He comes to me and he gets up in the morning time, so he has to go through my regular day. So he's up at 4:30 in the morning with me. Then he gets up at 4:30, he goes through Bible study with me, he goes to prayer time, we have our family time, I have time with my wife, and then I go to school. I go to school early, I'm teaching advanced science, so I'm either setting up a lab or doing whatever. This day I'm setting up a lab, I'm setting up my discrepant events for my kids to come in. And my kid Christopher has to sit in my class every day.
How old is he?
He's a junior in high school now. So now he's sitting here and he has to listen to me in all my different classes, whether it's anatomy or chemistry or honors biology or whatever it is. He's got to listen to the lectures or participate in the labs. He's going to sit and watch. And then when I'm off and I'm on my break, okay, he's got to stay in the office with me while I'm doing all my paperwork and everything like that.
Sorry, I can't quite get from how did he go to bed? Nobody had dinner or food that night?
No problem.
Okay.
Nobody did.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Great.
Because I'm a mean daddy.
That's okay.
So then he goes to school with me, and then he plays sports for me. So now he has to be coached by me, and then he has to come back to my classroom because I don't bring my schoolwork home. So I finish up my schoolwork in my classroom, and then we go back home. Christopher goes, Dad, that's exhausting. I said, I just wanted to let you know what I do to put food on the table for you. And if something belongs to me, it's mine. And if I say you can have everything else except for what's mine, you need to respect what is mine, and it's off limits. It's kind of like when our bedroom door was closed, that's probably time for Mom and me. When the door's closed, that's a boundary. You don't come in. No brainer. If the door's open, the door's always open for you. We taught our children these things. It's basic respect. When I don't have respect, now listen carefully, because this, I think, will solve a big issue, but it'll raise up 50 more questions. You can't love anybody without respect. It's impossible. It's 100%. Now, you can respect somebody. Like, I respect President Biden. He's a jerk. He's an idiot, and he's a puppet. Okay? But I respect him because he's the man in office. He's the President of the United States. So I respect him for his office. Because by hook or crook or however he got there, he's the President of the United States. I respect him for that, but believe me, I don't love him. You can respect somebody. In fact, what always amazes me is we'll be at a grocery store and we'll hold the door for somebody else and we'll show respect to a stranger, but we won't do it for our spouse. Or we won't do it for our kids. When I was raising my kids, I told them, I said, I never had to say to them, be on your best behavior when you're over at Billy's house, because we expected our kids to be on their best behavior at home with their siblings. So then when they go out, we don't have to worry about anything. But we've reversed it. The home has become a free-for-all for everything. And then we say, be on your best behavior. Well, that only goes so far. And so I have a rule that I've trained hundreds of parents. By the time your kids are the age of 3, they should know how to say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's it. At the age of 3. When you get married, you should know what's hers. Don't cross her boundaries. Don't cross his boundaries. Find out what he needs. Find out what she needs. Give respect. And when you show respect, love will come naturally. It comes. But you're not going to get love without respect, and you're not going to get respect without love. So that kind of ties it all together. And this is the way that God's set up his Korban system, his way to approach. If I sin or I'm feeling guilty, then God says, okay, there's a special thing I want you to do to restore that relationship. And when respect is lost, it's tough to get it back. When trust is lost, it's tough to get it back. And this is why one of the things that I teach and I put into practice the best that I can is that I tell husbands and wives, I tell parents and children, I tell business people, business models, I'll tell people, I'll say, you know what you need to do? Is you need to have a love bank. And just like my bank account, if I'm constantly putting money into my bank account keeps growing bigger and bigger. If I'm putting love constantly into your account, Tom, then our bank account grows bigger and bigger. But if I'm constantly making withdrawals because I'm a goober with a capital G and I'm dumb as a doornail and I'm Mr. Idiot with a big I on my chest, then I'm going to make withdrawals all the time out of our love bank. And pretty soon my love bank's going to be empty. And I'm going to wonder, where's the love? But I've been making all of these withdrawals out of that account. So in marriage, in business, in relationships, in friendships, in fellowships, and whatever relationship you've got, I have one mindset. Just keep depositing love. Just keep depositing love. Keep depositing love. Keep depositing love. I don't know what they need, but once I know who they are in respect, I know what they can handle. I know what they can't handle. Respect is based on what they can handle versus what they can't handle. If you can't handle being confronted face to face with something, I'm not going to confront you face to face. If I can't handle it, I don't want to be confronted that way. I want you to know me well enough to where you respect who I am as a person in my immaturity. And if you will respect me in that relationship, then you know what? Then I can love you and I can become more transparent, which is pretty much where we began, the other night, right? Where, can we be open? Can we just be honest? Can we be that? And the answer is only if you have the environment to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Wow, this is not the direction we were going to go
This
today.
is great, though.
This was not the direction we were going to go today. Anyway, but a great question. So Anna was in Numbers chapter 18, and I said, what are you reading? Salt Covenant. That's the Salt Covenant. Salt Covenant is something eternal. Salt Covenant is something that doesn't fade away. Salt Covenant is something that makes life tasty. Salt Covenant is preservative. Salt Covenant actually brings healing. Salt Covenant is on every sacrifice that was ever offered. And if you're going to be a living sacrifice, don't forget this. You need salt. That's why in Colossians chapter 4, verses 5 and 6, he said, let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to give an answer to everybody who is without. In other words, practice your best conversations and things with the people who are closest to you. That's why you've probably noticed, for those of you who know me for years, you notice that very seldom am I ever sarcastic. Very seldom. I do. If I'm sarcastic, there's no way you could be hurt. Okay? That's a basic rule that I live by, because I understand that your words are like arrows that are on fire. They're like firebrands, and once they go forth from your mouth. So when I communicate with you, my goal is to make sure that I'm connecting with you, and this is on the right side of the brain before I give you the analytical on the left. Court, you were going to make a statement?
Everything still comes back to the word. And when you're trying to figure it out on your own, with your different emotions, with your different history, with your different bents, then pain is coming. And that's also how you discern with false teachers, although I've never been really a big concern on that, because the Holy Spirit somewhat protects you on that.
Amen. That's exactly right. And wouldn't it be nice if it was just as simple as that statement? So now I got to go to the Word and find out what the Word really says.
Yep.
Now that's the reality, and spending the time there and spending time sensitive. And one of the things that I've found is that in relationship to being a man, is that I didn't have a lot of, for me it was different. I've had men my entire journey pouring into me, teaching me how to be a man. Some men that I come across never had that. Okay? I'm not saying the majority, I'm just saying some men. And it seems to me that God brings to me people who are hurting, who didn't have that, so that I can give them the courage that they need in order to be able to put that into their lives, into their relationships.